in Latin mean we show. So what we observed, we've been trying to watch all what's happening in augmented reality and all what's going on around the area. We had the vision very early on by being involved in the original cell phone, the second big thing, that it all begins from a paradigm shift of something happened that has to happen to make these things a reality. And when we were doing the mobile phone, we defined a term that we called mobility. And in mobility, we encapsulated all the parameters that it will take for people to carry a phone in their pocket. And what we're discovering is that in the augmented reality world, it needs a paradigm shift. It needs another term that needs to define how people are going to accept it. So, you know, a lot of people are being out there looking for augmented reality, but so many people are spending a lot of money, and it's not happening. And it's not happening not because people are not spending money. It's not happening because we think it's missing an element. And I'm here to tell you what is the missing element is. So the next chart show you that I'm taking my segue from the term singularity, and being a background physics guy that came from Egypt some exactly 48 years ago with only $200 in my pocket. So it's destiny for me to be standing here just like that shooting star going into the black hole. So the black hole that we all know, which is the singularity in physics, has an event horizon. Once you cross that event horizon, things begin to happen. And that thing is going to be the next big thing that we're looking for. And what's going to empower that next big thing is a new term we define as variability. We have to be aware that all of these devices and gadgets that we make, ultimately, it had to be accepted by the masses. And in order for it to be accepted by the masses, we have defined terminology that will allow people to wear augmented reality devices. And I'm going to share with you our recipe for making that happen. The magic thing, or what I call it, the secret sauce, is that at the singularity, everything gets compressed to its essence. If we follow that theme with compressing thing, you'll find out we will be able to arrive to a wearable augmented reality device. So we're going to start from the top. The augmented reality device works in the context of the human visual system. HVS stands for the human visual system. And if you look at the way the human visual system works, you will see coming to it terabytes of information. Augmented reality is going to be just added through the optical sensor, which is the eyes. And the eyes take these photons that coming out from outside world and sensed by the retina and converted to neural potentials, electrons. And these electrons goes to the lower part, the visual cortex, and in the visual cortex, it becomes cognitive reality. It gets translated to our reality, which is, by the way, is all created in the visual cortex. The visual cortex has two kinds of memory working with it. The short-term visual memory and the long-term visual memory, they combine together to give us the reality, to stitch together what we see. Going back in that red line that I show there are nerve commands to the eye, telling it where the brain wants to look at. But what the brain does, it puts all of what's important to the brain in the fovea, which is about 1.8 degrees, less than 2 millimeters. Only 300,000 sensors are sitting in the middle. Actually, almost 30,000 of them are all what's real. And bring it into the real part that the brain wants in order to stitch this reality. So we're going to take our cue from what the brain does and basically do things backward. The brain take photon, convert them to the electrons, and compress it. We're going to take electrons coming from the virtual reality device and compress it and give it to the brain in the same sense. So let me start you from that point, and we'll go from there. What I'm saying is that terabits come from the top, and only few kilobits go across the nerve bundle to the dorsal and ventral the visual cortex in order to give you the reality. Working with that is a bunch of things like sensors and gestures and so on. We will show you how that all going to fit together. The important thought here is that I don't think it makes a whole lot of sense to talk about machine vision and things like that. If there's a brain sitting on top here, and the brain is the one that is basically realizing, computing the reality outside. All what we have to do is compute in the domain, the compressed domain of the brain, and then give it to the brain, and the brain will get it done. So I'm going to show you how putting the human visual system in the loop will allow us to achieve the ultimate device for augmented reality. The compression had to start exactly where it starts in the human visual system. It starts in the human visual system at the pixel level. The pixel has the nerves, the pixel has the sensors, it has the pigment, it has the optics, it has all what it takes to convert light into electrons. Then we have to think of a paradigm shift pixel that does the exact parallel to what the sensors in the human eye do. That paradigm shift pixel must match the human visual system in all aspects. I'm going to show you how. It's going to work off of a compressed input. Remember I told you the actual reality is terabits. By the time it hits the brain, it's only a few kilobits. So the device is going to have to work in reverse. It has to come from compressed reality and expand it outward. To do it, we're the exact opposite from the people doing content. We're actually doing a computing platform. It's going to start from, this is the pixel size. That little cube that I just showed you is 5 micron by 5 micron, very small. It has at the bottom a computing layer that compute at the level of the pixel, what the pixel is going to handle and what the pixel is going to send as photons, right? That particular part here has the most advanced computing core that ever existed, an ultra-wideband match instruction set core parallel processor operating out of compressed input, okay? Just like the sensors in the eye. Right on top of it, we'll go beyond Moore's law barrier. Forget Moore's law. We go to 5 nanometer. Moore's law stops because at 5 nanometer, we start confining the electrons and the converting energy from potential energy, electric, to light. So we're going to take advantage of that. We're going to confine the electron, or we're going to make him selectively create the color we want by something we refer to as selective quantum injection. I'll bring that back after we're done. So the next layer above the computing layer is the photonic layer. The lower layer is made out of silicon, nanoscale silicon. The second layer is made out of deep nanoscale compound semiconductor material called gallium nitride and composite alloys of gallium nitride. And then still a third layer, we're matching exactly what the eye does, the retina does. We have this layer here, create all colors. Very fast response, up to 5 nanosecond response with an adaptive gamut. I'm going to explain why adaptive gamut is so important, because it so happens the sensors in the human visual system are all adaptive. So we go next, the top layer is an optical layer. This is a nano imprint dielectric layer that has the actual optics just like the eye. So you see a lot of people creating these big, I don't mean to be derogatory or offensive to anyone, that looks like welding masks and goggles. Nobody's going to wear that. So we took the optics, we took bulkiness, and we divided to the pixel level. As you can see there, when we're going to come out from this 5 to 10 micron pixel with a fill factor of 90 degree, full color, all color, from the same aperture. All colors, not just like this display that had red and blue green. This is all color from that same square 5 or 10 micron pixel on the top. Light's going to come up in all colors, and it's going to go out already collimated. If you're a technical guy, you don't know what the word collimated is, but it means focused, ready to go to work, not scattered everywhere. And then on top of that, we can make it go in different directions. We can go make it straight, we can go make it to an angle. And to do that, we will be able to display to the human visual system multiple views. Multiple views are very, very important because you see with two eyes, and each eye, in order to realize the depth and the perception, it needs at least 4 views, 4 to 8 views. So by moving the light coming out of the pixel, we're able to create 4 to 8 views per eye.